Joining us right now via Zoom chat is our good friend Tito Edwards from BigPulpit.com. Good morning to you, Tito.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Adrian.
It's kind of been an interesting week in the news, and I know you cover the news every single day on Big Pulpit and other sites. What stories have you been tracking this week?
Bishop McElroy, his of the See of San Diego, is going to be elevated to the cardinalite soon. He is a somewhat controversial bishop because he opposes many of the mainstream bishops in the U.S. In the direction of where we want to go in dealing with the issues of the country. And so with that, he's also been known as being a pugilist amongst his fellow bishops when in conference and committee. So it's going to be very interesting for the next several years because he is 68. He's got 7 years as a voting cardinal in the upcoming conclave whenever, God forbid, Pope Francis passes away.
Yeah. One of the things I found interesting about the now Cardinal-elect McElroy story is people were pitting him against Archbishop Cordileone up in San Francisco. And I thought, I can see why they're doing that because of the recent, excommunication, so to speak, of Nancy Pelosi in his diocese. So I understand that they're making that comparison. But I'm like, golly gee whiz, you passed up the Archbishop in Los Angeles, who's not had the red hat since he's been there, has been living in the shadow of the former bishop of that diocese, and McElroy is subordinate to him, and McElroy gets the red hat and not him. What do you make of that?
Yes, that's very interesting. Pope Francis has been, in our lifetime, in this living memory, we've noticed that unlike Pope John Paul II and John and Benedict XVI, the appointments have not gone to the traditional archdiocese. Gomez of LA, Cordileone of San Francisco, Vigneron of Detroit, and Chaput of Philadelphia have all been passed over as well. So it seems like he's wanting to get the smell of the sheep type of bishops, at least his perception of it. And so McElroy is one of them. Politically speaking, it also looks as if he's going around the papal nuncio and getting his information directly from some of his more closer confidants, such as Cardinal Wuerl and Cardinal Tobin of Newark. So, yes, this is a completely different direction, and very good point of noting that he is subordinate to Archbishop Gomez in the Episcopal metropolitan area of LA.
So how does that's awkward.
Ahead of him as a cardinal.
How does that work? I mean, so from managing his diocese perspective, he still has to report to Archbishop Gomez, but because he's a cardinal, he kind of doesn't have to listen to him. I mean, it's kind of bizarre and awkward.
My impression is it's more of a formality. So he doesn't take. I'm thinking he doesn't take that many direct orders from Gomez. In fact, I don't believe it's anything such as that. But yeah, on paper, it looks contradictory. And Pope Francis is the Pope of surprises, so he has not failed us in that respect.
He has not ceased to fail us in these air quotes surprises. I got it. Okay. Well, but if we're going to read into what Pope Francis is doing, then I would say, then how do we avoid the issues that relate to comparison between McElroy and Cordileone? I mean, they did have a conflict. McElroy came out publicly against Cordileone and his decision, and he has been a strong supporter of LGBTQ and other things and other troubling issues. So to elevate him as well as others, not only that, but to promote Cardinal Cupich to a position that could have a dramatic effect on the rest of the church, even in light of his public support for the LGBTQ issues. I mean, isn't this a very troubling trend?
Yes, it is a very troubling trend. Cupich being appointed to the Congregation of Divine Worship, I believe. And so there is, my understanding at the USCCB, the younger bishops are more forthright in wanting to defend the issues of the day that affect us, such as so-called same-sex marriage, abortion on demand, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's the old guard from this, I can't think of a better word, the Spirit of Vatican II crowd of the 70s and early 80s, which Pope Francis, I believe, represents. And so McElroy is up there in that category. And we're going to see a lot of these clashes, not only between Cordileone and McElroy, but among the other younger bishops from the smaller dioceses and the bigger episcopates. So yes, there is conflict, but at the same time where the rubber meets the road, these questions are going to have to be addressed because people, bishops such as Cordileone and Strickland, Vasa out of Southern California, they are making their voices heard, and we need to pray for all of them, McElroy included. So, yes.
It's interesting, Tito, because, you know, we're talking about these horrible vices that are being promoted. Father Martin's new documentary on, and like it's striking in his trailer for the documentary. He shows these wicked Catholics outside praying the rosary with signs saying purity is the answer. Oh no, terrible, these scary traditionalists. And the interesting thing is, you know, today that God has set up in a divine providence that this month be a time of reparation, a time of the Sacred Heart. Plus, today with Saint the Ugandan martyrs being bastions of purity against homosexual vice. I didn't realize that was one of the reasons why they were martyred. So it seems as though that divine providence has set us up in such a way that we would have something to have hope. So leave us on a hopeful note as we have about 1 minute before we go to break.
Yeah, we are running out of time here with Tito Edwards from BigPulpit.com. Go ahead, Tito. You can follow up. You got about a minute.
Oh, yes. Correct me if I'm wrong. Pope Pius XII instituted the celebration of St. Joseph the Worker to counteract May Day. The bishops, if they don't want to be confrontational, they can also celebrate what is good of the church. The Sacred Heart of Jesus should be celebrated loud and wide and
Amen.
And within each diocese to counteract this.
Yes.
And celebrating the saint of Luanga is one of the places where we can make our stand.
Yeah, amen.
And really push this.
Yeah.
Amen.
Praise be to God. All right,
Thank
Tito
you.
Edwards, BigPulpit.com, the best in the Catholic blogosphere. God bless you. God love you. We'll have to have you back.